tonight. So here's the deal, you guys. We have this very famous, I say famous, it's our most popular show that we do every single year. And it's our Pick'em show. We do it the Tuesday before the season starts. So when the season starts on Thursday, we do it on Tuesday night. And we, in all of our wisdom, pick the winners of each division, who we think is going to go to the playoffs. We even talked about who was going to send 3 teams to the playoffs. And then we talk about who we think is going to win the AFC and the NFC championships and who's going to go to the Super Bowl. Some pick the Super Bowl. Not all of us do that. Oh gosh. But we've decided this week to go back over it and see how wrong we were. And where did we go wrong? Why? What happened to our brilliant picks that we all had figured out? Of course, before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors, Donkey Cheesesteaks up in New Jersey. They have, oh yeah, there's the shirt. Wouldn't know because Lisa still has never sent us our shirts. But
your shirt. I'm going to personally deliver your shirt.
Yes, you are. And so Donkey's Cheesesteaks has been our sponsor for the last 2 seasons. We are very happy to have them. You can always go see them up in New Jersey for the best cheesesteaks in New Jersey at Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden. And of course, you can order online at goldbelly.com and have it sent to you if you are not in New Jersey. Okay. Oi.
But that donkey cup was pretty sexy. I have to tell you.
Oh, that is true. I don't know if everyone saw that. If you go to our Twitter, we did name our fantasy football cup after Donkey. So it's called the Donkey's Cup.
It's awesome.
And our friend Ryan won that this year. We were very excited. Even with all the weirdness at the end of the season and how they were going to figure everything out, we still managed to get a winner. So that was wonderful. We were happy about that. So congratulations to him. Kate.
Dana.
I am telling you, Kate, I'm a little nervous about this.
Did I win?
Did you go back and watch the show?
I didn't. I was scared.
I know.
I watched it twice.
Oh, jeez.
I watched it once to just get a feel for our color commentary and our opinions and our thoughts. And then I went back and tracked all of our picks. 2 nicknames came out of that show.
Okay.
Hipster Homebrew and Sunshine. Those were the original episodes for the head coach of the Dolphins, as we referred to him, Hipster Homebrewer. And Trevor Lawrence, I just called Sunshine because he reminded me of the quarterback from that movie, Remember the Titans. So I call him Sunshine, and that was the birth of that. Graham accused us of picking on the Dolphins and said he didn't like us anymore, and we did not. We had ample opportunity to pick on the Dolphins that week, and we did not. A lot of talk about quarterbacks, and Lisa wasn't even there. She sent her picks in, and I think 7 of her 8 picks were solely based on the best quarterback in the division. But she did pick a team that has a questionable quarterback. She was wrong. I will save who had the best record for last. What I found interesting is in the polls, which are such a homer thing. We did a poll for each division. The pollsters were 5 and 8.
I know why the Jaguars fans showed up and stuffed that.
They did. They did. So, why don't we start with the AFC?
Okay.
AFC East is easy. We all picked the Bills. The Bills were indeed the winner of that division. Dana had them going 14-3. Which I didn't note their final record, so I don't know if someone wants to pull that up. Dana actually gave us records for everyone, Lisa. Sonia and I just picked the winner of the division.
Well, they ended up going 13-3 because one game did not get played.
Oh, that one game, yeah.
Let me tell you. Right here, people.
You were close. We all took the Bills. In the AFC North, the Bengals won that division. Dana took the Bengals at 12-5. Lisa took the Ravens. Sonia and I both took the Bengals.
12-4. Just want you to know they went 12-4.
Because again, there's that one game.
One game.
AFC South, the pollsters were the only ones to get it right with Jacksonville. And what's funny is Dana, Lisa, and Sonia all took the Colts. I took the Titans. I had the Jags second. And Sonia and Dana both had the Jaguars coming in third. So we all said good things about them. We all loved Doug Peterson. We thought, that it was going to be a major improvement over prior year, but none of us thought they were going to win that division. And so I don't know if it's as much they won the division or the other teams were just so underwhelming and underperforming but the Colts and the Titans were just a hot mess. One thing that's interesting is Dana and I both agreed that the Texans, we didn't think they'd even win 3 games this year. They did win 3. They went 3 and 13.
They snuck that last one in and lost their first pick. Lord.
Yep. And then the AFC West was just a hot mess. In the poll, it was the Chargers that won. Sonia took the Chargers with Kansas City coming in second. Lisa took the Chiefs. Dana took the Chiefs. I took the Broncos. I mean, they didn't win the division, but, Dana took the Chiefs at 12-5.
All right. Here, let me tell you where the Chiefs at.
So I think they were 13 or 12-5.
Let me see. Sorry. 14-3.
14-3.
Yeah.
So they overperformed. Yeah. Dana said that was a division that she didn't think anybody would get right because there were depending on where you looked, everybody had someone in that division winning it. That they could even send 3 teams to the playoffs, and it was just one of those divisions again that we thought would be a lot better than they were by the end of the regular season. What I found interesting with the AFC is, in general, aside from the Jaguars really taking over and the Titans and Colts being a mess, those 3 divisions were really who they thought they were. There were no big surprises. There was no big upsets in what was going on. It was pretty stable. The NFC, on the other hand, just listening to the things that we talked about and Trey Lance and were the 49ers going to get rid of Garoppolo or trade him and who was going to take him and all of the things that we were talking about, DeAndre Hopkins being suspended and was Dak going to be back and healthy and good and just all the things that we talked, that division, Aaron Rodgers doing weird things in the offseason, everything we talked about, that whole conference was a mess from top to bottom. In the East, the Eagles won. Dana took the Eagles at 11-6. Sonia took the Eagles as well. They both were 100% on board with Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
I think Lisa went Cowboys because she had a little more faith in Dak than Jalen. She'll have to justify that pick for us. I had some kind of crazy Cowboy mania the last year, and I was all loving up on the Cowboys and their defense, and thank God some of those people are gone now that were running those things because they did make the playoffs. None of us thought the Eagles would do as well as they did. They were undefeated. How many weeks into the season?
Oh, yeah.
So my question, Lisa, since you picked Dallas, you seem to pick everybody based on quarterback. Did you just not believe in Jalen Hurts, or what did you think was going on with the Dallas defense?
I'm trying to go back and think about Dallas. I think, honestly, if I had done a little bit better homework on the Eagles' schedule and how light it would have been, I probably would have said, because I've always been high on Jalen. I loved him. So I think the Eagles in a whole, I just wasn't sure what we were going to expect. Where I thought Dak coming back, everything would just kind of gel a little bit better than the year before. It's the only thing I can think is I just didn't have enough on the Eagles or see that schedule. I'm still on the fence with that schedule. That was a soft schedule.
But they weren't soft in the playoffs. Let me tell you, they were full steam ahead.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. I like Jalen. Matter of fact, I was I almost wanted to go. I wanted to get to the Senior Bowl so bad because I kind of wanted this, but because I honestly know a lot of guys that I was around when Jalen was with us in the Senior Bowl that didn't like him, that were like 4th round, 5th round at best. I mean, it was almost like the Alabama love was gone. It was just like, he's just a, running quarterback, typical. He surprised a lot of people that won't admit it, that I was around.
that won't admit it. That's it, isn't it?
They will not admit it. They will not admit it that I was the only one, honestly, out of a group of probably about 15 pro men scouts that weren't really giving him any love. Even with his agent, Nicole, I mean, she was the one that was really pushing him out there and, telling people like, listen, don't sleep on this guy, and wow.
Yeah. My bold prediction for the division is that Carson Wentz wouldn't play 14 games.
You're right.
Would get hurt again and not finish the season. we're going to do AFC or NFC North, and Dana, I'm going to ask you about this one. In the poll, the Packers won. Sonia and Lisa took the Packers because they still believed in Aaron Rodgers. You and I both took the Vikings. You had the Vikings at 12-5. I think you were thinking the same thing I was, that Kirk Cousins was going to be okay, and he wasn't. What are your thoughts on the Vikings, their season, and what's up for them next?
Yeah, they ended up 13-4. So here's the interesting thing with the Vikings that I looked at when I was picking this, and it was just the consistency of players. There was so much. We knew Chicago was going to struggle. They already had so many holes they had to fill. The Lions, we didn't know what to expect, but all of us were rooting for the Lions. We wanted them to do well. And Aaron Rodgers had bitched all offseason about his weapons, and that totally turned me off. I thought, even if they're good, they're going to tell him to, bite it and leave, because they just were over it. So I just kept thinking, if you're going to look for consistency, one, Kirk Cousins is somewhat consistent. Now, consistently takes it to the last second to win a game, yes, but at least you can kind of know what to expect out of him. And with Justin Jefferson on that team and the defense that they had at the beginning of the year, obviously that defense got a little banged up at the end. I just really felt like that they were the ones that we could really kind of, trust out of that whole entire grouping. However, I think with the disappointment of what happened once they got into the playoffs, there's going to have to be some changes, and there's going to have to be some shakeups, and there already have been some changes. But they're not going anywhere from Kirk Cousins, but they're going to have to do something different with him, or just hold it, keep it where it is, and then look forward to the year after that when they can maybe get rid of that contract.
Yeah. All fair points.
Yeah.
Very fair points.
But do you feel that they kind of, when they took Justin Jefferson out of it seemed like teams figured it out. It seemed like during the playoffs, because when they took him out of the offense, they just seemed to struggle.
Right.
Do you think that was to me, do you think the defensive injuries caught up to him, or do you think they just took Justin Jefferson out of the game?
Both. I think it's both. I think it was coaching. I think toward the end, and the fact that they seemed to be they made adjustments, but it just took so long. I mean, how many games did they win by less than a touchdown, and they had to win in the last 2 minutes of the game? And yeah, that's great when your team can do that. They shouldn't have to do that. And I just feel like there were some coaching issues there. That's why there's been some changes made. And I think that they're going to have to find a way to change it up a little bit on offense and give some different looks. Because when you just have the one guy and you're going to the same guy all the time, it's no question mark where the other defense is going to be.
You can get 11, 12, 13 wins in a season with a team like that. But then you get to the playoffs, because depending on your schedule, if your schedule's fairly light, or when you know your division opponents as well as you do, you can get those wins. But then the playoffs, you got the cream of the crop, and you're playing, and it's for real. And that's when the Bills, the Bengals, the Vikings, there were some teams with a lot of wins that they lost in the playoffs because they just couldn't sustain that. They didn't have enough balance or enough versatility to get through teams that I think outcoached them in a lot of ways and out game planned them. So
for sure,
I think the Vikings ran into that a little bit. NFC South was sort of a hot mess of a division with just, we all took the Buccaneers. The poll picked the Buccaneers. The winner was the Buccaneers. I don't know. Lisa, what are your thoughts on the future of that division? Carolina ended up trading Baker to the West Coast in the middle of the season. The Saints had an injured Jameis Winston, and they're still playing with the Taysom Hill experiment. The Falcons, I don't even know what to do with Mariota. And the Falcons, he beat us, and I think he threw 3 passes the whole game. What is it going to take to get something going on, to get some magic back in that division?
They're going to have to get a quarterback. I mean, you got to look towards some of these quarterbacks that you just kind of mentioned, and that's going to be the first thing to get in place, is where are they going to go as far as the quarterback? I mean, and there certainly are some options. You got Carr out there.
He's going to the Saints tomorrow, I think. I think it's tomorrow.
He really?
Yep, he got permission to go visit the Saints tomorrow. That can be real interesting. I mean, Dennis Allen, he knows him, right? Like, it's a whole thing.
Right. And you got some quarterback hungry teams, and what is San Francisco going to do? They're in,
we'll get there.
I think We'll get there. Okay, we're coming there. We're going to get to that one. But as far as Tampa, Kate, you got to solidify the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My problem is I just don't see a elite type quarterback out there that is going to make them back into the elite conversation of us talking about a division win with them next year.
Yeah, Tom Brady was not Tom Brady this year.
No, that just shifted the whole scales for this talk coming to this season, depending on where the draft goes, where they go, and so it's going to be interesting. That division is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good conversation to have after preseason, right? And after we see some of them play, because you had 3 teams that were 7-10, and then you had one team that managed to be 8-9. And they won the division. So the whole division is in the muck, right? And so they have to definitely. You're going to see who is going to take it seriously. I think Carolina's going to be really interesting with their new head coach. I think that the Saints with a new quarterback could be very interesting. Atlanta, I think they're a couple years, but they've got a lot of youth on that team. And so I'm wondering who's going to rise to the top there. I don't think Tampa Bay is it, because they seem almost a little bit more behind, although they still have Mike Evans. They still have, some great pieces, but you're not going to plop a quarterback in there and all of a sudden beat the rest of these teams. You guys were mediocre. Everyone was in the middle, in the muck. So it'll be interesting to see that conversation, for us to have that conversation come the end of August.
Especially with free agency and where everything lies, because I mean, like Dana just said, the talent's there. The talent's on the Saints, depending on what Michael Thomas does.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a healthy guy, you're going to have a great receivers there. Derek Carr is going to be interested. I think Derek Carr's best match would be in Tampa with a Mike Evans and with the receiving core. But who knows? I mean, anything's going to drop.
True dat. And the last division, the division that Dana thought would be the toughest division in football.
Used to be.
The NFC West. So the 49ers won that division. We all picked the Rams. The pollsters picked the Rams. Dana had the Rams at 11-6.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked a lot that show about quarterback issues for the Rams. What are they going to do if Matt Stafford gets hurt? Is John Wolford the guy to come in and do it? And instead, it ended up being the 49ers, who had a 5th and 6th quarterback in a playoff game. When you trade in the middle of the season for Christian McCaffrey and he has to throw a pass, he's your 6th string quarterback. We just thought Trey Lance was a done deal. We didn't anticipate the injury. We certainly didn't think they were going to re-sign Garoppolo. We were postulating on which of the other teams might make a grab for him in some of those divisions that were close. So, Dana, thoughts about the AFC West? What is the future of that division and your
the NFC West?
Is Geno staying in Seattle?
Yeah, he is. Lisa hates him. I don't understand Lisa's issues with Geno, but that's okay because it's my turn to talk, not her. No, it's my turn to talk, not yours. Mute. Here's the thing with the NFC West. It was the toughest division in football for years. And what's interesting is this is the perfect example that you can just set on a silver platter of this is what injuries can do in a minute, right? Like that is just what happens. That you never know. We can make all these predictions and all these assumptions, but you get 2 bad injuries in a row, you end up with your 5th string offensive tackle on the line for the Rams, and then your quarterback gets hurt, and then this happens and that happens. The Rams were a case study in injury management this year, and it's unfortunate, but it just happens, right? Arizona is more just bad management, right? Yes, they had a lot of injuries. Yes, they lost Kyler Murray. Yes, all these things happened. But that team was just poorly managed, hence why Cliff Kingsbury is now gone. I think it's going to take a while for that team to rebound. They still don't have a head coach. All the other head coaches are getting picked. They still don't have one. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens there. Here's the thing with San Francisco and Seattle. It's a fantastic rivalry, but San Francisco is who the Seahawks were back in 12, 13, and 14. They had that rookie quarterback, and that amazing defense, right? And if you look at those defenses, they're awful similar. But here's the thing. They can't keep their quarterback healthy, so it doesn't matter. Could Trey Lance be the guy? Absolutely. We have no idea what Trey Lance can do. Could Brock Purdy be the guy? Yeah, he looked pretty good. I mean, granted, against some questionable teams, he looked pretty good. Can't stay healthy. Can't keep Jimmy healthy.
Right.
Here's the interesting thing. Jimmy Garoppolo won't be back. Whether they keep saying that he's not coming back, but then they brought him back last year, but I don't think he will be. The thing of it is they're going to have to figure out, we have these two baby quarterbacks. One is probably not going to play next year in Brock Purdy, depending on if he gets that surgery. I know they're working at, second opinions and stuff. So what do we have with Trey Lance, and how healthy will he be when he comes back? So San Francisco is in a really interesting space. Do they pick up a free agent? I would hope so, because God knows they can't keep that position healthy. There is something, and I don't blame Shanahan for all the injuries. I think that that's ridiculous. He's not on the field, but it just seems to be every single year. Seattle is in a different place where they have a quarterback that will sit them for a couple of years and they can rebuild back at. So we're looking back at like 2011 Seahawks when they had Travaris Jackson. They sat him there. He wasn't the greatest quarterback, but he was serviceable. Geno Smith is a much better quarterback than Travaris Jackson was, but they have the money then in the cap to fill the rest of the space, then plop a quarterback in there. So I don't know. Seattle, could it be next year? Depends on the draft. They have 5 picks in the top 100. It could be real interesting. So I think the Rams will bounce back. I think the Niners will bounce back. Seattle is going to be kind of in the thick of it. Arizona, I have no idea what they're going to do. No clue.
Yeah. They're a mess.
No, if you're going to be mean about Geno, you can just be quiet. Go ahead.
So
you gotta give me something.
What?
What
did he do wrong, Lisa?
Listen, why? Just why?
Why?
As a fan, do you want to be mediocre? Why do you want to deal with mediocrity? Why? That's what I'm asking.
You understand he was a top 10 quarterback last year, right? She gets that right.
I think it depends on your rebuilding strategy. You've got how many picks in the top 100?
I think there's 5 in the top 82 or something like that.
5. Do they go quarterback in the first round, or do they move that down and get more picks, or do they go offensive line or some other skill position and use this draft to build up everything else and wait until next year? They can get through another year with Geno and wait until next year to get a quarterback.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
What are you going to do with Drew Lock?
Hopefully get rid of him.
And John love him.
No,
you can't never hear that.
I don't know that you can say they loved him when he was never really in consideration for starter.
Well, he never took any snaps, and I understand. And there's a huge gap. Come on, seriously. Geno's been in the NFL.
Right.
He knows. Drew, come on, seriously. Can you really kind of say Drew's had kind of a fair? He got pretty much thrown out of the Broncos. They were a complete mess. Right? He really hasn't had any good structure behind him. He really hasn't had any good playing time. I would have no doubt that Geno would outplay him, to be honest with you. But with Geno, to me, you got to go get a quarterback. You got to get a
Lisa, you don't need a quarterback this year, because the problem with Seattle last year was their defense, not their offense. Their defense was a disaster last year, and they need an edge rusher. They need better linebackers. Their secondary is starting to get it together, and God knows what's going to happen with Jamal Adams. And so, they need to fix their defense. If their defense had even been 5-6 slots higher in rankings, they would have easily been double digit wins. The offense was not the issue last year. It was the defense. And so I get where you think.
Well, I just think that you're going to need a higher tier quarterback to me.
Right. But
you're going to need a better line.
Here's the thing, Lisa. No, our line actually was really good last year. We need a better center. 100%. And I think that's who they're going to pick up 20, hopefully, if he's still sitting there. But here's the thing, Lisa, you have to remember with Seattle is that why waste 2 years of a rookie quarterback contract building the rest of the team when you can hold on to someone who plays top 10, plays solid, plays well, wins you games, and build the rest of the team around him. Then in a couple of years, because of Geno's age, we know he's not going to be a long-term contract, right? Then in a couple of years, you drop that quarterback into a ready-made team, which is exactly what they did with Russell Wilson.
So the model in the NFL is to get that quarterback at 1, 2, or 3, drop him into your team, and then build around him.
Yeah.
Fine. How many quarterbacks are now out of the league? I'll be surprised if Baker Mayfield's in next year. Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Trevor Siemian, Drew Lock. Look at all these rookies who, and there's more, who were drafted and put on terrible teams and either got the crap beat out of them and were out of the NFL, lost their confidence or whatever. I love the idea that Seattle's going to build it the other way. They're going to build the team they want and then use their draft capital and whatever picks they've stocked up to move up and go get either the rookie they want that fits with the system they're building, or find the veteran they want to sign to bring in. They're going to build the system first and then find the quarterback to fit with it. So that, to Dana's point, if they get a rookie, they have a good team around a guy during the cheap years of his rookie deal. Most of these guys want to get paid when their rookie deal's over because it took that long for the team to build enough stuff around them for them to be good, and then it all falls apart.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that they're doing it in a way that you consider backwards. Like, I know what you're saying.
I do too. I get it.
They're going to need a higher tier quarterback,
did it.
but
Cincinnati
they're doing it
did it with Joe Burrow.
Yes, they did.
Cincinnati did it with Joe Burrow. It took 2 years.
They got lucky with Joe
build
Burrow.
around him.
The Jacksonville got lucky with Trevor Lawrence.
But how many
not all of these teams who are starting those guys early are getting lucky. There are more that aren't.
So then let's look at that. I mean, look at the age of these quarterbacks in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. I mean, the AFC and NFC championship, these are babies. They're young, but they also have fantastic teams around them. You could say Patrick Mahomes. No, you can't even say that. Patrick Mahomes isn't carrying his team. He has Travis Kelce. He has a good run game. He has a decent defense.
His team is making up for him on some of his decisions.
Right. That's fair. So I think that you want to be careful with those young years. What, honey?
And some of those decisions, some of those throws that Patrick Mahomes still makes, just sits there and wows you.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
The kid
I know. They usually bite him in the butt in that AFC championship game, and he got through it. So Lord knows what he's going to do in the Super Bowl. Speaking of the Super Bowl.
Wait, hold on. Let me say one more thing about this to Lisa. Lisa, I'm not saying that Seattle won't take a quarterback. I just don't think it'll be in those first 2 rounds. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked a project later.
I just worry about that because this, to me, is one of the richest quarterback drafts in a while.
I'm hearing the
seen.
opposite this year. I'm hearing kind of the opposite. People have really cooled on
It's going to be decent. Well, I mean, if you look like at Bryce Young, I mean, he's going to be a Jalen Hurts. I mean, when you look at that mold of
I really hope so.
Is,
for the Houston Texans,
I
hope they do. Yeah, there's some serious quarterback needy teams. But anyway, go ahead. We need to look at some of these AFC divisions too, because we kind of cruised over those we
kind of did, but I want to go our Super Bowl picks.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Were so this year we did the championship games. So the actual NFC championship game was the Eagles over the 49ers. Mm-hmm. Dana had the Rams and the Bucks.
I did.
Sonia had the Rams and the Bucks. I had the Rams over the Cowboys. And the Rams let us all down. I didn't get picks from Lisa for those because I think, Dana, you sort of asked us spur of the moment who we thought, was
I didn't ask
rise
for
to the top of that. And then in the AFC, Dana had the Chiefs over the Bengals. Mm-hmm. No, you had the Bills over the Bills. Chiefs over the Bengals was the AFC championship game. You had the Bills over the Ravens. Mm-hmm. Sonia had the Bills over the Bengals, and I had the Bills over the Bengals. So
it's just heartbreaking to me. What the hell happened? Can we talk about that for a minute?
Injuries happen to the Rams, right? Let's agree.
That's easy. But the Bills.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
The Bills.
Yeah, we'll go back up and talk about that Bills division. Overall, the pollsters were 5-8.
Nice job.
Our friend Graham gave us polls in the chat during the show, and I tracked his. He went 5-8.
Nice job, Graham.
Sonia and I both went 4-8. Lisa went 3-8, and somehow Dana went 6-8. I can't even look at you. I don't know how you went 6-8. I think you were still riding the high of that fantasy football championship you won last year. But so let's talk AFC East. We all thought the Bills were going to run away with that division. We all thought the Patriots were going to give them a run for their money. We were all concerned about the Dolphins and Tua, and we couldn't decide if it was either the coaches or the front office that just didn't believe in Tua, and we thought he needed this year to just prove himself to be the man, so that at the end of this year, it was either the question was, is it going to be his decision to stay, or is it going to be the Dolphins deciding whether or not to keep him? Like, he needed this year to kind of prove that. But nobody blinked twice at the Bills being possibly the best team in football, or at least top 2. And the way that team just sort of imploded, I guess, towards the end. I know there was a lot of emotion and stuff going on. Yeah, Lisa, you want to weigh in on the Bills and what happened to them at the end of the year?
I do, because I want to pick my defensive guru's mind over here with Dana, because you heard a lot about Von Miller not being 100% at the end of the season.
Yeah, he was injured. He was gone.
He was. A lot of Bills fans said that the Bills were the exact team that played Kansas City. They were good. They stayed in the game. They just couldn't make that oomph, that final, quarterback hurry or sack where Von Miller would have brought that. So I heard a lot of Bills, even a lot of the Bills podcasts were talking about the absence of Von Miller and how they feel that the defense, again, let them down.
Yeah.
So I kind of think, right?
I heard that too. And listen, one player is not going to fix what happened there at that point. But I will say that Von Miller missing on the field is huge, but Von Miller missing as a leader is huge too. And that could have been it. Plus, their defense just, I think, got worn down by the end of the season. I think I would say the whole team is, and I said this, Kate, on our show right after they lost that playoff game. This Bills team had a lot of crap, and it wasn't just DeMar Hamlin. They had, their owner, which we found out today, almost died of cardiac arrest too. I don't know if you guys have read that from the Players Tribune, but Jessie Pagula, the daughter, wrote what happened to her mom. She's still recovering, and so they have that to deal with. And then they had that mass shooting in Buffalo in the middle of the season. They had all this one thing after another.
They had that blizzard where they had to go play in Detroit,
and they had to dig
trying to dig linemen's driveways out so they can even get to the airport for a game.
I just think it was a lot, and I think at some point that stuff, whether you are, and true competitors, I always say true competitors can get through it. You know what? All it takes is one guy in that level of a game. It takes one guy missing one tackle that brings it all down, and then you just start to lose your momentum. And to me, Josh Allen seemed to be the one who was carrying a lot of that this year. So I feel for the Bills. I still think they're one of the best teams in football. I still have so much respect for that team and what they have done this year. So I hope they bounce right back next year.
And I think they just looked
emotionally worn down in that playoff game.
And the AFC East, to me, with the Dolphins, was a lot more competitive than I think they thought it was going to be.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, we had no idea what McDaniel was going to bring with Tua. And they pushed the Bills. For the first.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. Who did you say? Hipster Homebrewer. Got
pushed Tua. And I think, and even the Patriots were there at the end. We had 3 teams that were like boom, 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 boom in the AFC East that, they did kind of run away with the division like we kind of all did, kind of thought. But, that divisional game, the Dolphins, they gave a run for the money. They could have easily won that game in Buffalo. So
even the Jets were a lot better this year than we predicted they were going to be.
So that whole division tightened up a little bit on them, I think, and caught them a little bit on edge. And like Dana said, I think all that missing Von Miller, all that had happened just took its toll, because they definitely weren't the team that in the end that we all thought they were just
I think your point is very valid, Lisa. They had to work a lot harder in the division. They were at one point in the season the only team leading a division without a division win. Like I think it was in week 10 or 11 where they didn't have a win in the division, but they were winning all their other games. So that the division gave them much more trouble than they thought it was going to.
So Graham said Buffalo not having a run game didn't help them and put more pressure on Allen. That is 100% true.
But one team got
on my fantasy team. He was a letdown this year.
Sue said the Bills did have a lot of going on off the field. Thanks for acknowledging that. And then I think that this is a good point by Sue too. Next season, any team from the AFC East can win. From the way they ended, I agree with that. Obviously, everything can change, but that's a really good point.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice to have a competitive division like that, Sue, to be honest with you. Because how many years have we just been Patriots?
Right. It's
now
old.
it's like, we always, last, season we were like, oh, Bills. Now, it's not Bills anymore. It's everybody. So
little Destiny's Child there. No, just kidding. So Kate, let's talk about your your Browns division. I love the Cincinnati Bengals. I love that team. I think they're hilarious. I love that they have a chip on their shoulder. I love that they don't take crap from anybody. I don't even mind Eli Apple as much as everybody.
Do you hate them yet, Kate? Do you hate them yet?
No, but I will say that Dana predicted my Browns would go 6-11, and I'll have you know we went 7-10.
Well, I'm so sorry.
Even with Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun and that whole hot mess that I got to live with now.
Yeah.
I still like the Bengals. I can't. They've positioned the division so that the Steelers and Ravens is a big rivalry and that the Browns Bengals is a big rivalry. And I'm not into it. Neither is Cincinnati. We're like, I don't know what they're talking about. We still hate those other two teams. So it's,
I love that.
The Steelers made a run for it at the end, which surprised people. My team rolled over and died, which surprised me. The Ravens hung around without Lamar Jackson. He never did come back from that injury. We thought it would be 3-4 weeks that maybe they'd get him back for the playoffs. Not only did he not come back and play, he did not travel with the team to Cincinnati for that playoff game, which still rubs me the wrong way. If you're their franchise quarterback and their leader, you travel for a playoff game and you help your team. You do what you need to do. This isn't the Derek Carr situation where they asked him to stay away from everything. I don't know why he didn't go. I don't know what the future is for Lamar in Baltimore. If they end up franchise tagging him, I feel like that's going to rub him the wrong way, and he's not going to be pleased with that. They'd be better off having a conversation and making him an offer because, I don't know, in this division.
Well, they did. He turned it down. Did you see the amount of money they offered him? And he turned it down.
Something's going on in that locker room. Somebody's not happy with somebody. We can thank Deshaun Watson
for that. Yeah, and the Browns.
I love
not Evil Harbaugh and Jackson have something. I don't know what's going on with the two of them, but but I don't know where he goes.
Here, you guys, let's look at this comment from Big Red. The Browns are the Cubs of the NFL. It makes them endearing. I love that, Big Red. Good for
adorable. You. We are adorable. I don't know. I predicted if he went anywhere, it'd be Minnesota, just so he could still wear purple. So I don't know if they'll ride or die with Kirk Cousins out there, or if they'll make a move on. Who knows? There are so many divisions that we've already talked about tonight that where the quarterback position is up for grabs, and they're looking.
A lot of money.
I will say that, Lisa. Yeah, I love Lamar too. And there was a lot of people who are like, Dana, would you be mad if they brought Lamar Jackson in? Yeah, I would. You know why? Because I don't want to destroy our cap for the next 10 years.
Right. And he's going to want a lot of money, guys. We all know that. He's going to want a lot of money. I love him. Look, I do too. He's amazing. And everything. But I agree with Kate. I think, to me, that was a statement, Kate, from him. I think more of it was, I think Lamar's ready to move on. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was a huge statement for him. Him liking all these other teams that he played that beat him, starting with Miami the second week when he, sent some love down to the Dolphins. I mean, I'd love him. And it's not knocking to I'd pay him, me. I'd bring him in so fast and make everybody's head spin. But that's
I think somebody will. The problem is what happened this year is what we have been worried about since Lamar got into the league, that he runs too much and he's going to get hurt. And he got hurt this year and didn't come back onto the field. And there are people saying he was healthy enough to come back. But again, it was a statement. So do you want to risk signing him if he's now going to be labeled as injury prone?
Right. Well, I mean, he has been hurt 2 years in a row. So it makes you wonder for sure. I don't know. I love the way Lamar Jackson plays football. I love it.
I do too.
Pure, just wild pleasure. He just loves to play football. But you're right. How sustainable is that? Is he changing that? We saw even Russell Wilson when he was younger, he ran, and then he pulled that way back, realizing he couldn't do it anymore. Patrick Mahomes doesn't run as much as he said. Like you learn to kind of work your way out of that. I don't know that Lamar has done that. I would be shocked if he wasn't a Raven next year. I think they'll eventually just throw the book at him or the Brinks truck at him and let him stay. But at the same time, if he's done, then he's done. And we'll just have to kind of go on from there for sure. Can we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars for just a minute? Because we talked about this at the end of their playoff run. This division is so fascinating to me because in my opinion, it has so much to do with coaching. And we have praised Doug Peterson on this program many, many, many times. But if you look at that division and the way that they ended up, so you have Tennessee 7-10. Who expected that? I was shocked. The Colts, we all had the Colts, doing so well in this division, 4-12. No quarterback. Houston Texans 3-13. No quarterback. Titans, really? Do they have a quarterback? No. Jacksonville has a quarterback, but I still think it's going to come down to coaching, because even if you go and get a bunch of new quarterbacks, they're all going to be really young and really fun and build the team around them. It's the strength of the coaching. And I think Doug Peterson just has, although I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with the Houston Texans' new head coach from San Francisco, their defensive coordinator, whose name is escaping me. I'm excited to see what happens there. But I think that I think that's going to be a couple years down the road. I think Jacksonville is primed to kind of be really good for the next few years. It's going to be fun to watch.
I've always been a fan of Doug Peterson. What sealed it for me as far as this division goes was them coming back from being down 27 points to the Chargers at halftime. That's coaching.
Yep,
that
it
keeps
is.
Those players in that game. That is in the coaching. Game. Is how you do that. It's not necessarily talent, it's coaching, because they could have given up at any point. And so I just looked at that division, and I know how Lisa will look at the quarterbacks to rank them. I do the same thing, Dana. I'm looking at the head coaches in that division, and I'm like, I think there's gonna be a few of us picking the Jacksonville Jaguars on our Pick'em show next fall.
Yeah. So Graham wants to know, how warm has Vrabel's seat gotten since they get collapsed? Oh, it's not warm. It's toasty. It's toasty.
You think so? You think so?
I think if they are still struggling halfway through next season, he's gone. I do.
Yeah, I think injuries kind of hit them a little bit at the end of the season. I think when they lost Tannehill, I don't think they were just ready yet for another quarterback. I think, they got banged up a little bit at the end.
This is a good point from Becky. Oh, sorry, Lisa. Hold on 1 second. This is a good point from Becky. The Titans fired their GM, so I'd assume Vrabel is safe for at least a while. I think he wanted that GM fired after he traded A.J. Brown. That's a really good point. And that could buy him another full season, even if they struggle. Absolutely.
Yeah, if that was
I think the Titans wanted to do what Seattle's doing. They wanted to get through one more season with Tannehill and then make a move. And I don't think Vrabel, to Becky's point, was happy with the moves that the GM made and was not getting him what he wanted on the field in order to be ready for that quarterback. And now they're going to have to go after a quarterback because the fans are just revolting.
Absolutely.
Their season ticket sales are down. And it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, you got another quarterback that you rushed in with Malik. I mean, Vrabel sat him down during the game. He sat him down. He pulled him because he wasn't doing what he needed to do. So Vrabel, when you look at Lawrence, Doug Peterson's the only coach I think that could have coached that kid, because Lawrence is a little bit of a wild card right now when he first gets on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He throws high, he throws interceptions. You got to reel the kid in a little bit.
Right.
And it was so funny is he did the same thing in the Pro Bowl.
I was going to say, Peyton was trying to reel him in. He was throwing high. He missed the snap. He threw an interception.
Exact same thing, but then throw the winning touchdown. So it's so bizarre with him. And you got to coach that. That's coaching. That kid just need to be coached. And that kid.
Are we going to talk later about how fun the Pro Bowl was this year?
I loved it. Everyone was pissing and moaning.
I thought it was. I loved it. It was entertaining. I watched every minute of it.
I know. I can't wait to go again and cover it again next year.
Loved it. I thought it was. I love the kick-tac-toe thing with the kickers. It's
like that. Boy, they were all the catch they got to work on. It felt a little too much like the slam dunk contest from the NBA with the trampoline. You got to work on the catch. I thought the fantasy football or the flag football was awesome. I learned all these rules. That official who looks like he's 12 and who sounds like this when he talks was freaking me out. But you can only blitz twice and a half, and you can only I'm writing down the rules. So by game 3, I thought it was great.
I thought it was super fun.
The guys seem to all be having a good time. Now, Myles Garrett dislocated a toe.
He's fine.
I love the headlines on Yahoo. Myles Garrett
devastating injury. Devastating.
That one next to the Donovan Mitchell gets kicked in the groin with a picture of Evan Mobley. I'm like, can you at least put the picture of the guy up that you're putting the clickbait on? But Myles' toe will be fine. Don't worry about Myles' toe.
So Michelle agrees. She likes the Pro
huge
Bowl
guys dragging the chains. It was so much fun.
Yeah, Michelle liked the Pro Bowl too. I thought it was awesome. I will tell you this, guys. If Lisa likes the kicker one, you know it's a good time.
Dude, it was great. It was great. The long snappers
did
were
better.
the only ones that did. Everybody else is going this. Even Justin Tucker.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
They can't do it. They can't do it.
Because the kickers have to adjust for wind and all kinds of other stuff while they're aiming for a target. That long snapper has this space where he's got to throw that ball, and every time, bang, bang, bang.
Good.
I knew they would be better at that. I thought the whole thing was just so much fun.
It was fun.
And they used to do it. Remember, we used to have the quarterback competitions,
so
and so
fun.
people loved it. I thought it was a great idea. But I'll tell you what, those guys were playing flag football. Did you see Tyreek Hill? Ramsey hit the crap out of him. I'm like, oh, I'm like, holy shit.
Can't do that. Can't do that in flag.
Best play of the day was when Trayvon Diggs jumped Stephon Diggs' route and stole and got an interception on his brother. I'm like, I wanted to see that during the regular season, and I didn't get it. At least I got it in the Pro Bowl. Some brother-on-brother crime.
It was so
I thought it was great. I would almost go to just to watch.
I would go to watch that.
It was having so much fun.
Yep.
It was awesome. All right, you guys, I know we went long this time because you know why? Because we go long in our preview show too. Like that's a full hour show because we argue most of the time. It's so fun. And I promise we are going to talk next time we come on about the Denver Broncos and the comments that Sean Payton said today about Russell Wilson's team not being allowed in the practice area. So that'll be interesting. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We're going to save that. We're going to save it for the off season. All right. So next week, I'm out of town. Sonia's out of town. Lisa can't come. So it's going to be Kate and Wanda next week. It's going to be so much fun.
They're going to recap talk. Get our ideas.
Well, it'll be the
Super Bowl and we'll talk a little Bears.
Yeah. So we'll round up the Super Bowl, talk about that in depth. And Wanda is so good about stuff like with X's and O's and things like that. She'll be fantastic.
So who's winning the Super Bowl?
The Eagles. I got the Eagles. I got the Eagles.
I'm going Chiefs, baby. I'm still riding Mahomes. I'm riding Mahomes.
Lisa.
Well, you know what I mean. No, you know what I mean.
Right. I got the Eagles just because I have Chiefs fatigue.
She has Chiefs fatigue. Yeah. No, I don't know. I just think Philly. I just really want Jason Kelsey to be his brother. That's what
I do too. He's my favorite Kelsey brother.
I know, me too. All right, everyone. So we will see you guys again next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on YouTube and on Twitter. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel because we are going to be here all off season. So you will be able to just get your football fix all season long. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.